Okay, so why don't we go ahead and get started. Let's talk a little bit about what we're going to do today. We are just down in that home stretch, now it's the tedious part where we're going through and just kind of identifying and cleaning up these different recommendations, so we're almost there.
At this point in the process, the whole group has reconvened and they are now deciding to keep, change, or drop all of the proposed goals, policies, and action steps that the individual groups have been developing over the last few months.
We have to know what we're talking about. This is something that is going to council and something that's going into the plan, something that we're planning for. So it's important that everything that we put in there is something that we can all, that we think is good for Broomfield, good for our community, something that we understand and can support and live with. We're getting close to the end of the process. The committee has been working real hard on their goals, policies, and action steps, and tonight we're going to be going through a few of the groups and wrapping up their work, getting the final input as far as buy-in and consensus from the group as far as whether to keep their recommendations or change them or drop them. So we'll be going through every single one of them and making sure there's that commitment and that buy-in from everybody. And we're looking at the resource conservation group, protect the environment through the preservation of wildlife, reduction of waste, conservation of water, enhancement of land, water, and air quality. Keep. Provide community education on the values and importance of wildlife coexistence. Next policy, use sustainable standards, policies, and practices that encourage and support the reduction of waste.
At my house, we don't have an air conditioner. We use a swamp cooler in the summer. So there's a definite link between how much electricity we're not using, because if we use less electricity to not have an air conditioner, we use more water from the swamp cooler.
This minimum energy efficiency requirement on renovations, for commercial buildings, new commercial buildings. Keep.
We are putting the individual goals, policies, and action steps up on a slide, and then the group is actually voting on them. Anything that has a majority to keep stays in the plan. Anything that they want to change, we're doing a little bit of wordsmithing, and then if there's an overall desire to drop those, they will just go away and will not be included in the plan.
Builders of new construction and renovations to utilize concrete made with recycled concrete aggregate.
So are we sure that that's always going to be it's pretty specific, is that going to be the best concrete to use in 10 years from now, 20 years from now?
This is a really difficult part of the process. Consensus building with a group this large is going to require a lot of discussion, a lot of give and take, a lot of understanding, and they're really going to have to work hard to come to consensus around all of these recommendations so that we can start drafting the sustainability plan.
That's great, and I didn't have any clue.
Yeah, that's a neat idea.
And we're going to start with community education. So starting off with this first goal, Broomfield advances sustainability by educating and engaging our community in the implementation of environmentally, economically, and socially sound practices. Sounds good? It's a good goal. Provide educational activities at various times of the week to accommodate the schedules of community members. Hal?
I think we should take that on, just put educational activities to accommodate schedules of community members and not put quite that tight a schedule.
So the next one, going with the existing media to enhance sustainable education efforts. Connect and cooperate with other Broomfield education programs to integrate the best practices of sustainability.
If we took, in the one above, took existing media out, and just put media.
It is a financial hardship, but it's a financial hardship on the planet if we don't do that. That's one of those externalized costs that we're not now going to have to take on.
We went to the King Soopers and the Safeways and the Whole Foods and said there's going to be a demand for this product because these bags are going to be necessary for the residents to do this program, and they all started stocking it. We got a couple places to do the kitchen composters and the bags that go with them, and so once demand is there, the stores will, and once people start going in there and asking for it, then they'll start stocking the product.
offer training opportunities and work projects to individuals and groups related to environmental stewardship.
Things have to keep going like that on a regular basis to keep the mindset for people to keep going like that. You have to have regular work projects poured in there to get that mindset set.
But let me just put it this way, is this one important enough to keep? And if we have to find another place for it, we still can, but we want to keep this one in there? Okay, okay.
The one thing I do want to do tonight, though, is our last goal. 1 out of 4 goals. The last one was on energy provisions.
If you look up to action step SB 3.4, where it says encourage new development projects to incorporate solar access and solar energy into design, I would move this into the electrical provisions portion, and instead of solar access and solar energy, I would call it distributed generation systems.
Okay, so with the goal itself, is that a goal we want to keep? So let's go to transportation.
Not only do we want to say use other types of transportation, but if you can get people to do the same work they're doing anyway in a different fashion, electronically or using different business hours, things like that, then it's like a win-win, because you free up capacity on the roads, but you haven't actually spent it on it. Our thought here was that there are certain, what we kind of referred to as sore spots within the city's existing road network that we wanted to call out as needing specific, a little more intense inspection and maybe band-aiding or something like that.
Investigate the viability of local sponsorship and or other ways to provide Broomfield circulator bus service. Interconnected bike and pedestrian system policy, adding the words enhance and maintain. As we come up with the end product, it's just a culmination of all their efforts and all their ideas in creating this updated plan for the environmental stewardship chapter. 5.2, develop and implement strategies that encourage all businesses to support multimodal. Yep, utilize area research institutes to attract and retain businesses developing clean energy technologies.
We were looking at it from a financially and economically sustainable viewpoint, and we're told that we should look at it as well from an environmentally sustainable viewpoint. So we, in our minds, it encompassed all of it.
With a drop in sales tax in virtually all municipalities, I mean, that's why the efforts are underway in almost every city in the state of Colorado right now, is to try to get people locally to understand, because a lot of people come from outside that don't have this kind of a tax structure, the importance of buying locally.
After tonight's meeting, we will have a fairly good idea of what the draft plan is going to look like. We will be presenting all of these recommendations at an open house, and the public is welcome to come out and review all of the work that has been done and have their input. Let us know what you think. We want to be sure that the community agrees with the work that the task force has done. After the open house, we will try to roll it all up together in a nice package and present our results to council, and ultimately they will decide whether to adopt these recommendations, and then they will become part of the comprehensive plan.
As you well know by now, one of the hardest things to do is to design a new future, to come up with ideas with folks, with our fellow residents, especially our fellow residents who might have come into this process with a different viewpoint or different interest and things like that. And you have worked so hard to work with one another and develop these things, these ideas, and I'm just incredibly proud of you guys as far as the work that you have done. You know, we've had a very diverse group of folks participating, and they've worked real hard as far as listening to one another, building understanding, and to come up with ideas that they can all support. So in doing that, it's required them to be very committed to one another and to the process in order to come up with these ideas.
Is there a better way to say that?
Preservation. So with that change as far as the preservation of land quality, they keep that. David? This group has worked incredibly hard. This is a hard process when you're talking about designing the future of Broomfield as far as becoming more sustainable. There needs to be a lot of information, there needs to be a lot of thought and ideas and a lot of discussion and compromise to come up with ideas that seem to be something that everybody can support and live with. Good job.